Picture this. You open your eyes in the morning. The alarm hasn't even gone off yet, but you can feel it.
Oh, that sixth sense.
Right. That unmistakable, heavy gaze resting on you from the side of the bed. So you turn your head, and there is a dog. Already awake. Just waiting.
Not whining or barking, necessarily?
Exactly. Not necessarily needing to go outside urgently. They're just incredibly invested in the fact that you are now conscious.
Yes, that intense, quiet surveillance. It's so specific.
It really is. And that is the daily reality of living with a Cocker Spaniel. So today our mission is to look past the standard breed statistics, the height, the weight, the historical origins.
Your textbook stuff.
Right. We are using the files from the Cocker Spaniel Health Academy, specifically episode 9 titled Living with the Breed, to figure out if your actual messy, real-world routine can handle a creature that basically refuses to leave your side. Okay, let's unpack this. Because the scene I just described, that morning to night shadow, it's a recurring theme in the source material.
It is a very specific type of presence. And honestly, it immediately filters out a lot of potential dog owners right out of the gate.
I can imagine. You get up to brush your teeth, they follow you to the bathroom, you go to the kitchen, they are basically a furry extension of your slippers.
Yeah, when we dig into the metadata from this deep dive, we see a really clear biological and psychological through line. These dogs fundamentally do not understand the concept of separate.
Like at all.
At all.
Right.
I mean, when evening rolls around, they don't just wander off to a quiet, dark bedroom to snooze alone. They station themselves in the exact geographic center of whatever room you are occupying.
And we have to ask why that is, right? I mean, where does that come from?
Well, historically, spaniels were bred to work in dense brush, fleshing out birds for hunters.
Okay.
But unlike, say, hounds that might catch a scent and just disappear over the horizon for hours, a fleshing spaniel had to work in constant, close tandem with her human.
So they were physically bred to stay nearby?
Exactly. They were bred to continuously check in, to read their human's body language, and to stay within a really close radius. Fast forward a few centuries, and that working trait has morphed into this deep psychological requirement for proximity.
Wow. So they don't just want to be in the same house as you.
No, they want to be woven into the fabric of your immediate activity.
It reminds me of having an extroverted roommate. You know the type?
Oh, definitely.
The one who never actually wants to hang out in their own bedroom. Like, even if they are just reading a book or scrolling on their phone, they will bring their book out to the living room couch just to be near you while you read yours.
Right. They don't necessarily need you to entertain them.
Exactly. They just need to absorb the social energy of the room.
That is a highly accurate way to conceptualize their emotional bandwidth, actually. Because if you try to relegate a Cocker Spaniel to the periphery, say, putting them in the kitchen behind a baby gate while you watch a movie in the living room.
Let me guess, they won't just lie down.
They simply won't settle. The geographic distance creates this low-level anxiety for them. But if you let them lie on the rug right at your feet, they will sleep soundly for hours.
Which, I mean, brings up a big question about living space. Because if I'm hearing you say energetic sporting dog that needs to be constantly involved, my mind immediately jumps to needing a sprawling suburban house with a massive fenced-in yard.
Naturally, yeah.
But the source material explicitly dispels that, don't they?
They do. And what's fascinating here is the reason why. Square footage is largely irrelevant to this breed.
Wait, really? Irrelevant?
Pretty much. I mean, apartment living is completely fine for a Cocker Spaniel because the environment, whether you're in a high-rise urban condo or a rural farmhouse, it only changes the flavor of your daily routine, not the fundamentals.
Meaning they aren't going to go use that huge yard anyway if you aren't out there with them.
Yes, exactly. You can open the back door to 5 acres of rolling hills, and a Cocker Spaniel will likely just walk out 10 feet, relieve themselves, and come sit at the back door waiting for you.
Just staring at the glass door like, well, are you coming out?
Precisely. A rural dog might get more casual yard access, while an urban dog relies on structured park walks. But neither environment works unless you, the owner, are actively providing engagement.
So it's about the human connection.
Consistency from the human is the deciding factor, not the size of the floor plan.
I have to play devil's advocate here, though.
Up for it.
If these dogs are essentially Velcroed to our sides, and their psychological well-being really depends on being where the action is, how on earth does a household manage them when the action moves to an office building for 8 hours a day?
This is a huge question.
Right. Like, if they are uniquely attached to their people, isn't a standard 9-to-5 schedule inherently unfair to them?
It is a highly practical concern. and one a lot of people worry about. But the short answer from the source is no, a 9 to 5 is not inherently unfair, but, and this is a big but it requires highly intentional structure.
Okay, what does that look like?
Well, we need to differentiate between two psychological states here. There's isolation distress, and then there's separation distress.
I thought those are the same thing.
A lot of people do. But isolation distress means a dog just doesn't want to be alone. Like any human or even another dog will comfort them.
Oh, gotcha.
Separation distress, on the other hand, means they miss you specifically. And Cocker Spaniels often lean heavily into the latter.
So you can't just stumble out of bed, pour some kibble in a bowl, and vanish for 9 hours?
No, absolutely not. You have to actively manage that distress. You have to build a blueprint around it.
And the source talks about how to do that, right?
Yeah. It starts with draining the energy tank first thing in the morning with an active walk. Then it requires alone time conditioning. The source actually notes this was a major focus in their earlier training episodes 2 and 6.
Right, teaching them how to be okay with you leaving.
Exactly. You have to gradually teach the dog's nervous system that your departure isn't permanent. But the most crucial part of making a 9 to 5 work is what happens when you turn the key in the lock at 5:30 p.m.
You can't just crash on the couch.
No, there must be genuine, focused engagement. The problem isn't the 8 hours away. Problems arise when long hours away are combined with minimal engagement on either end of the day.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because I want to pause on that word engagement.
Okay, yeah.
Because this is where my mind gets a bit twisted. When I think of exhausting a dog after work, I think of physical output. Like, let's go run 3 miles.
Sure, burn off the energy.
But the source emphasizes that the required engagement is heavily mental. I don't get that. If I run 3 miles, I'm dead on my feet. How is a 20-minute sniffing walk more tiring for them than actual cardio?
Because you are thinking like a human, prioritizing your cardiovascular system.
Fair enough.
For a dog, and particularly a spaniel, we have to look at the olfactory bulb. In a human brain, the area devoted to analyzing smells is relatively tiny. Right. In a dog's brain, it is proportionally massive. So when a Cocker Spaniel stops to sniff a patch of grass on a walk, they aren't just smelling dirt.
What are they smelling?
They're essentially rendering a complex 3D map of who was there, how long ago they passed by, their stress levels, their health status.
So reading the neighborhood P-mail is actually a high-level cognitive function.
It really is. It is the canine equivalent of doing complex calculus. Processing that much sensory information burns a massive amount of cognitive energy.
That is wild to think about.
And the source gives fantastic, concrete examples of this mental stimulation. Daily sniffing walks, where you actually let them dictate the pace and process the environment, are mandatory.
Not just dragging them along so you can finish your loop.
Exactly. They also highlight scent games, puzzle feeders, and dedicated training practice.
And if you slack on this, say it's raining all week and you just, try to skip the mental games.
The friction shows up immediately. A bored Cocker Spaniel is a destructive or noisy Cocker Spaniel.
Oh.
Yeah, they will invent their own jobs if you don't provide one, and you usually won't like the jobs they invent.
Like what?
Like barking at every single falling leaf out the window or disassembling your sofa cushions.
Yikes. Okay, that makes total sense.
Okay.
So we have this intense requirement for mental puzzles and daily exercise.
Yep.
But if we pull back the curtain on this breed, there is another massive time commitment that owners of, say, a Labrador or a Boxer simply never have to think about.
Oh, the coat.
The grooming reality.
Yes, this is perhaps the area where prospective owners most severely miscalculate the time investment.
Because people always throw around the term high maintenance when they talk about breeds with long coats, and it usually has this negative connotation, like the dog is a diva demanding a spa day.
Right.
But reading through the source's breakdown, it sounds less like a spa day and more like a part-time job.
It really is. And we have to look at the actual anatomy of their coat to understand why. Cocker Spaniels possess a double coat. They have a dense, soft undercoat that acts like insulation, and a silkier, longer top coat.
And the undercoat is the issue.
The undercoat is essentially like cotton candy. It traps dirt, burrs, and moisture incredibly easily.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And as the dog moves, the friction of their legs against their body causes those two layers to weave together.
Creating mats.
Severe mats, particularly in high-friction zones like the armpits, behind the ears, and the chest.
That sounds painful for them.
It is. So to prevent this, the source explicitly states that grooming is not an occasional errand you think about when the dog starts looking scruffy.
It's an everyday thing.
Basically, it requires regular methodical brushing at home multiple times a week, penetrating all the way down to the skin. Plus, professional grooming every 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, so if you're the kind of person who likes to come home and just zone out in front of the TV without any extra chores, that sounds like a total nightmare.
It will feel incredibly burdensome. However, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the source offers a really brilliant reframing of the high-maintenance label.
Oh, how so?
They suggest viewing the breed not as high maintenance, but as consistently involved.
Consistently involved. I like that.
Yeah. For an owner wanting a low-touch pet, the grooming schedule is a deal breaker. But for someone who desires an involved relationship with their animal, it isn't a chore you resent. It is a structured, quiet time spent connecting.
It makes me think of running a classic car.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Like if you buy a vintage 1960s sports car just because you need a vehicle to commute to the grocery store, you are going to be miserable.
Right, that breaks down, needs special oil.
Exactly. You can't park it in the rain. The upkeep is relentless. But if you are a gearhead, if you actually love the process of maintaining the machinery, then spending your Saturday morning in the garage polishing the chrome isn't a chore.
No, it's the hobby itself.
Right. It's the entire point of owning the car.
Exactly. The maintenance is the relationship. You are bonding with the dog through the care of its coat. It forces you to slow down, to sit on the floor, and physically interact with them in a calming way.
So we have established this highly integrated one-on-one dynamic. The hours spent exercising, the mental calculus of the sniffing walks, the hours spent brushing the double coat.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. But life rarely happens in a vacuum. What happens when you throw a grenade into that quiet routine? Say you add a toddler to the mix, or a cat, or a chaotic travel schedule.
Well, the source material methodically addresses this expanding circle, and it relies heavily on the breed's foundational temperament.
Let's start with children.
Okay, generally speaking, Cocker Spaniels integrate very well into family life because they naturally gravitate toward where the kids are.
Because they want to be involved.
Yes, they want to be in the center of the action, whether that's an after-school routine or a weekend soccer game. However, the critical caveat is that they are sensitive dogs.
So no roughhousing.
Right. They won't tolerate being pulled at, cornered, or treated like stuffed animals. The relationship must be built on mutual respect and strict adult supervision.
And what about multi-pet households? Because my first thought is, if I'm busy and I have a dog that demands constant companionship, maybe getting a second dog to keep my Cocker Spaniel company is a smart move.
It is a double-edged sword.
Really?
Yeah. On a psychological level, housemate dogs can genuinely help meet a Cocker Spaniel's social needs. A well-matched canine companion provides that constant presence the breed craves when you are at work.
So that sounds like a win.
Emotionally, yes.
Hmm.
But practically speaking, it doesn't reduce your workload. It doubles it.
Oh, right.
You are now brushing 2 dogs, walking 2 dogs, and paying for 2 professional grooming appointments.
And you can't outsource the mental stimulation to the other dog.
Exactly. The human-led engagement is still mandatory.
Okay, what about cats?
Now, regarding cats, this introduces a totally different biological factor. Cocker Spaniels are sweet and affectionate, but they are sporting dogs.
Oh, right. They were bred to flesh out birds. That instinct to chase small, fast-moving things has to be lurking in there somewhere.
It is heavily ingrained. In behavioral science, we talk about the prey drive sequence, which goes eye, stalk, chase, grab, bite, dissect.
That is a dark sequence.
It is. But Spaniels were selectively bred to heavily emphasize the middle of that sequence, the chase and flush, and suppress the grab and bite.
Okay, so what happens when they see a cat?
So if a cat runs across the living room, the Spaniel's brain is flooded with dopamine, encouraging them to chase it. They might not want to kill the cat, but they are hardwired to pursue.
Which is terrifying for the cat.
Absolutely terrifying. The source notes that they can live very comfortably with cats long term, but it requires thoughtful early introduction.
You can't just toss them together.
No, you have to teach the dog impulse control before the chase instinct takes over. You cannot just drop a kitten into the living room and hope they work it out.
Okay, let's look at travel. If their whole world revolves around proximity to you and they need this structured environment, taking them to a busy airport or throwing them in a car for a cross-country road trip seems like asking for a panic attack.
You would think so, but their manageable physical size actually makes travel highly feasible.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they fit easily into cars, and many can fly in cabin. But the success of any travel hinges entirely on how their brain processes novelty.
And how do they process it?
Well, that's dictated by early socialization.
So you can't wait until they're 3 years old and suddenly decide they're going to be your road trip buddy.
If you wait that long, their brain will process the unfamiliar environment of an airport or a hotel lobby as a threat.
Got it.
Gradual, positive exposure to varying sights, sounds, and routines during puppyhood teaches their nervous system that novelty is exciting, not terrifying. And honestly, this applies even if they aren't coming with you.
Like leaving them at a boarding facility. If they have that separation distress we talked about, being left behind has to be incredibly tough on them.
It can be traumatic if not handled correctly. The source emphasizes that you have to practice the separation before the actual vacation.
Practice it how?
A dog with positive prior exposure to a specific pet sitter or a specific boarding kennel will adjust far more comfortably, because then the environment isn't novel and terrifying on top of missing you.
That makes total sense. So putting all these elements on the table, we have the intense demand for constant physical proximity.
Right.
We have the need for complex mental stimulation and physical exercise, the meticulous ongoing friction management of their coat, the careful management of their prey, drive around smaller animals. When we look at that massive checklist, is it actually fair for someone to take this on for the very first time?
The source tackles this directly. Is a Cocker Spaniel a good fit for a first-time owner? The answer is yes, they often are, provided the person is genuinely willing to invest the time.
So what does this all mean? What's the ultimate trap for the new owner? Because everyone thinks they're responsible until it's 6 a.m. in the pouring rain, and the dog has a mat in its fur and needs a sniffing walk.
This raises an important question. The single most common mistake identified in the source is underestimating the combined weight of the breed's needs.
The combined weight.
Yes. When you look at the requirements in isolation, they seem fine. You can walk a dog. You can brush a coat. You enjoy having a dog sit with you on the couch.
But doing them all at once, every day, is different. It reminds me of learning how to juggle or trying to run a high-end restaurant.
The restaurant is a great analogy.
Right. Having incredible food in the kitchen is one thing. Having impeccable waitstaff is another. But if the lighting in the dining room is terrible and the music is too loud, the entire experience fails.
Everything has to work together.
Exactly. With this breed, the exercise, the grooming, and the companionship aren't separate. Individual tasks you can just check off a list. They are a deeply integrated ecosystem.
That ecosystem analogy is spot on.
If you stop brushing them, they become physically uncomfortable, which makes them agitated, which makes the mental engagement harder.
Yes. And if you skip the sniffing walks, they get bored, which makes it anxious when you leave for work. The ecosystem collapses. It really does. The breed rewards genuine investment with an unparalleled level of loyalty. But it will be a nightmare for someone hoping for a low-involvement pet who simply exists in the background.
So you have to stay on top of all of it.
You do. And while the source notes that tools like the VitalPet app can help organize this complex daily life, tracking those grooming schedules and vet visits, they include a very clear disclaimer.
Oh, what's the disclaimer?
That their podcast, and by extension their app, is for educational purposes only. It does not replace a veterinarian's professional hands-on guidance.
Always good to remember.
Yeah. In fact, they mentioned their upcoming season finale will dive even deeper into a lifetime health checklist, which just adds another layer to that ecosystem.
Which makes perfect sense. So to bring this all into focus for anyone listening, a Cocker Spaniel is not a pet that exists alongside your life.
Definitely not.
You don't just buy the dog, put it in your house, and continue living your exact same routine with a furry addition. It is an animal that demands to be woven into your daily existence.
And you are trading a massive amount of your personal time, your mental energy, and your physical space for an immense, almost overwhelming level of affection. Stripping away all the data and breed statistics for a second, there's a fascinating reverse psychology at play here that we rarely talk about.
Oh, what do you mean?
We spend all our time analyzing the dog. We ask, can I fit this dog into my busy human schedule? Can I accommodate them?
Right, evaluating if they fit our lives.
But honestly, if you commit to an animal as consistently involved as a Cocker Spaniel, it works both ways. By forcing you to log off your computer, to go outside every single day regardless of the weather, to establish reliable routines, and to sit quietly and be present while you groom them.
You're actually changing yourself.
Exactly. In trying to build a perfect balanced life for the dog, you might accidentally build a much healthier, more grounded life for yourself over the next decade.
I absolutely love that perspective. You think you are training the dog to live in your world, but the dog is actually forcing you to live a better one.
It's a beautiful trade-off.
It really is. So tomorrow morning, before your alarm even goes off and you feel that heavy, expectant gaze resting on you from the side of the bed, remember, they aren't just waiting for breakfast. They are waiting for you to join their routine.